And there you have it. There's the dash pretty much all apart. Hello everyone, welcome back. So today I'm going to be doing a video that's going to be a little bit interesting and a little bit weird in the sense that I'm not really going to be doing anything to the car per se in the sense that I'm going to be changing anything. I'm not going to be modifying anything, changing anything, repairing anything, fixing anything, or anything of that nature. I have received a lot of questions and people are saying, hey, how can I do this on the inside? How can I get to that? What is this? What is that? Where is this? Where is that? So what I'm going to do is make kind of an all-inclusive video about how to take the entire dash apart to get to whatever you may need to get to. I've had a couple of people say to me, they have had the same problem on this car that they've had on the C7s with the 3LT with the bubbling of the dash, and they want to know particularly how to get certain things like this piece in front here, how to get that off to fix that, but I'm going to show you pretty much how to take apart the entire thing. So I'm not changing anything, repairing anything, or anything like that, but if you want to see how to remove the whole thing and get it apart and get it back together, this is how it's done. Now, whenever I'm doing any work on this particular car, and I know it's going to be interior work, there's always a couple things that I like to do right off the bat. Number one, I always take the roof off. I like to take the roof off, let some more light in, see what you can do, and it gets in and out of it a lot more easily, and less likely you're going to damage something or scratch something and move it in and out. The other thing I like to do always is roll the windows down and also position the seats to how I want them. I always roll the windows down so that way you can obviously reach inside the car, because remember, once I disconnect the battery in a second here, you're not going to be able to open the doors. You're going to have to be able to reach down and pull a little handle to get the door open. So that's one thing I always like to do, is keep the windows down. Also, I like to position the seat in a sense that I know anything that I'm going to be removing isn't going to be impeded by where the seat is. I also like to put them both in a position where if I have to remove the seat, God forbid, for whatever reason, I can get to all four of those bolts to get the seat out should I need to, because I can't just simply reconnect the battery, reconnect the seat and move it, because then I'm going to throw a whole bunch of codes depending on how many other things I have disconnected from the car, and it kind of negates the purpose of me disconnecting the battery in the first place. So just a couple quick tips I like to do, except remove the roof, put the windows down, so that way I can get to the handles to open up the doors, and position the seats in a place that you're going to want them to be. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to be doing, just like any other repair on this car, like I've said before, if you ever disconnect anything electrical, it doesn't matter what it is, because this car is so finicky on so many different levels and so many different things, you have to disconnect the battery. So I'm going to disconnect the battery first, just like I always do. All you have to do, pop out this one panel right over here. Just use a simple pry tool. A lot of times you don't even need that. You can just pull it up. Clips come right out. I like to store that right there. And then a 10 millimeter. Pop that up, and you can get to the negative side of the cable just right here. Loosen that up, pop it off. So now that the battery is disconnected, the first thing I'm going to want to do is get this whole big center console out. Now I know I have a pretty detailed video on how to get that thing out, but just to show you a quick overview on how to get this out. A couple tools you're going to want to keep handy, I always like to do is got a little driver with a 10 millimeter on there right now. You're also going to need a 7 millimeter socket, a little panel popper tool, an interior trim piece, a little plastic tool, and then also I have a little right angle hook and a little miniature flathead screwdriver. These are all things that kind of come into play, and you'll see what I go as I go. So first thing to do is you're going to take this piece out right here. There's basically just two little clips that hold that in, and just pop that out of the way. Okay, two little clips. Then I'm going to pop this piece out right here. You can reach behind here and kind of pull up a little bit, get yourself a purchase point, slide it up, and that pops right out too. Then you've got two 7 millimeter bolts, one here and one here. Go ahead and remove those. Okay, and now this bottom piece is going to be free. This is all just a series of clips. There's like four of them down here. There's one up here and one up here too. Just give them a nice little pull and they'll come right out. Okay, use my trim popper tool to take out this little Christmas tree. Take out that electrical connector. And then I'll use my little flathead screwdriver and the right angle pick to disconnect the electrical connections that I have down here. Now my car is a 3LT, so I have certain options that you may or may not have. The two ones that everybody's going to have is going to be the dimmer switch and the emergency park brake. If you have a heads-up display, you're also going to have this connector down here, which is for the heads-up display adjustments. Now that is a little bit tricky to get to. Just right angle pick, grab that gray tab, and pull it towards you. So that's the safety unlock. And then there's going to be a tab right behind it. Just push down and pull it out. Okay, so I'm going to get this center console out of the way here because there are some bolts I have to get to. There's just two tabs right there and two tabs up top. Pops right out. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this thing down here. Now there's going to be two connections on here, again, depending on which car you have. You're going to have a speaker connection up here. That's just this little gray tab right here. Pull the locker out and then depress and that'll come right out. Okay. And then down here, if you have the wireless charger, there's going to be a connector down here too. So pull this out. There's just two tabs right here, two tabs right here. Just give them a nice little, decent little yank, and they will give. There you have that. And there's your connection down there. Take out the red locking tab, push down on the black tab, and it'll come right out. Now the reason you have to get this out is because eventually these two strips are going to come out, and there's two bolts down here that you're going to have to get the whole center console out. Okay, next thing I'm going to remove down here is this little trim piece right here. These are all just plastic clips. You can either go in there with a pry tool and get it started, or you might even be able to just pull them out. What I like to do is start in the back here of this one and take that one out, pop that out because it's the easiest to get to and it's visible. And then from there, I can just kind of pull them out one by one as I go down the line, and they come out relatively easily. Now the first time you ever pull one of these things out, you'll see mine came out relatively easily, but I've taken this in and out more than a few times. These clips right here, all over the car, are surprisingly strong. So the first time that you take any of these clips out anywhere, it is probably going to give you a lot of resistance. So just keep that in mind. Next you're going to want to do is to take this piece off right here. There's just one 10mm bolt down here. Pop that off. And then this will just pull right out. Again, just clips. There are little hook clips on the top here. So just when you take it out, just kind of fold it out that way. You'll see these little things right here. They kind of hook in, and then these will just hold them in otherwise. Once you have that out, you're going to have 4 bolts on this side that you're going to want to remove. 4 10mm bolts. One of them is back here. Go straight down with it. You'll see it after you have all the other things out. Another one right here. Then you get another one right here. And the last one is right here. And then we'll move on to the other side. Now to get the center console out, you actually don't have to remove the following things I'm going to remove right now. However, to get the rest of the dash out, you do have to take them out. So I'm going to go ahead and pop them out right now, just to get them out of the way. The next is this little clip right here, or this little plastic cover. Again, same thing as the other side, just 2 clips that hold it in. Just 1, 2. And then this cover right here. Again, go down there, get yourself a little purchase point, move the tool up, and that'll pop right out. You are going to have to take the glove box out here, which I'll get to in a minute. Alright, next, just like the other side, I'm going to take this little trim piece out here too. Take my little panel popper and go back to this clip right here. Very visible. Pop that one out. And then just work my way down. Next is this panel cover right here, 10 millimeter right there. Lift it up, and it'll pop right out. Then you got a couple of electrical connections in here that you're going to want to get to as long as you're there. You got this one big connector right here, then you got a little USB connector back here, and this little gray one right here, you're just going to want to pop that out. So just a little Christmas tree, just pop it out. Okay, same thing with this, just Christmas trees in the back, lift them up and out. And then get to the black one right next to it, that is a USB connector. Same thing, pop it up and out. And there is one little one that goes straight up right here, Christmas tree again, just go ahead and pop that out too. Now, this little black one, simple, just squeeze and pull, comes right out. Big one, pull the red connector back, that's your locking tab. And then use a little screwdriver and kind of go underneath right there and just pry up gently and it'll pop off. Once it pops off, fold it back and that'll come out. And that's that. Next up, you've got 5 10 millimeter bolts that have to come out on this side. The other side has 4, this side has 5. So you got one of them that's tucked up in here. You're going to have to kind of look underneath to see it. I know where it is because I've taken it out, but you'll see it. Pop that one out. Then you got another one right here. Another one right here. Fourth one is going to be right here. And then the last one is going to be straight down the back right here. Once you have all those out, console will just lift right out. Okay, now that I got the console out, the next thing I'm going to want to remove is the glove box. Now, as we all know, before I disconnected the battery, and now I got to get to some screws that are inside the glove box. Well, I'm not going to be able to get to them because, well, the battery is disconnected, so therefore the glove box doesn't work. But if you look at another video that I showed, there is a manual way how to open this. But I'll just go and do it right now. Just get yourself a 1/4" ratchet with a 14 millimeter deep socket on it, and put it in the off position. Find this little hole right here. Put it in, you'll feel it go on. It's going to be like a little socket. It's going to feel like a bolt that you're going onto. Just turn it, and it opens right up. Pretty easy. Then you just want to get this glove box door off. Get yourself a pair of needle nose pliers. There's 2 little tabs in here. Just squeeze them together, and that's what's going to allow you to slide that cable off. Then once that's off, grab an interior trim pry tool. Because there's going to be these 2 little like kind of hooks that are in channels down here. All you have to do is just pry them back and get them down one at a time, and you'll see the whole door just kind of drop. They are a little bit of a pain because when you pop one out, the other one has a tendency to go back in. But once you get them out just like that, just take it. It's just all these little hinges down here. Take the whole thing out of place. Then, to get the actual glove box out, you've got 4 7 millimeter screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it looks like 2 T15s that are right here. Take all those out. You've also got 2 7 millimeter bolts right here and right here. Take those out as well. Okay, once you got that out, remember there's 2 little clips right here that hold those in, so you're going to have to kind of fight those a little bit to get them out. disconnect all your electrical connections and things of that nature. Down here you got one little gray Christmas tree. This little electrical connector right there. And then on the other side, you do have another little connector right here, a black one. And just take a look at it because it does loop around in kind of a weird way. So just unhook it from how it goes in. There's a red safety locker. Pull it. Black tab on top. Pull that out. And then you got connections over here too for your SD card and then the power port. Now I just want to show you a little close-up of this. This is the cigarette lighter connector. You're going to have a little bit of a hard time probably getting this thing out. So my best advice is there is a red tab, a little locker tab that's on there. Instead of just sliding it out, pull the whole thing out completely. Then once you get to it, use a right angle pick tool. You're going to have to go in from the side, and you see the connector for it is kind of deep. It's all the way down there. You're going to have to use a small little flat blade screwdriver or a little right angle to kind of poke it out or pry it back. But that's how it looks like when it sits in there. And this part of it is pressed up against the glove box, so you're not going to be able to see it. But that's what it looks like, and that's what you're dealing with. All right, so next you're going to start working on getting this piece out of here, but to get that piece out, you got to get a couple of things out of the way first. First is this upper A-pillar trim. And a simple pry tool, just clips, and it'll come out. Take out this T15 right here. Okay, so once you got that out, you're going to see the only thing holding these things in is you got a clip right here, a clip right here. Be careful, sometimes that clip stays in the actual pillar, in which case you got to get it out. Then you have that T15 on the bottom, and then these two things right here. So these are just little tabs that kind of go in and slide in. You're going to have to put it on an angle where it's sitting in the car like that and sort of like pull it up and out like that to unlock those. Those are not clips at the bottom, just pull them up and out, and this thing will slide right out. Okay, now here's something I kind of wanted to show you a little bit of a close-up of. Now here's the speaker grill that you have to remove next. I've heard of people having a lot of a hard time problem with these things, and it's actually kind of a silly thing, but I'll admit it kind of jacked me up a little bit at first too, but it's no big deal. So when it says when you're going to want to go to pry this, the first thing everybody's going to want to do is stick it underneath here and pry up. You're going to see it kind of flexes a little bit like that. And you're going to sit there and you're going to pry and pry and pry, and it's not going to go or whatever. So, but that's not what you have to do. This and this are separate pieces. So what you do is take the trim panel tool, stick it underneath there, in between these two pieces right here, and that's how it pops up and out. And then you just have those two little hooks in the back, just like that. And there's two clips right there, and now you have that out. Then you go ahead and you take those two 7mm screws out right there, and then this thing will come out as well. Once you have that cover off, go ahead and take the two 7mm out. And that panel slides right out. And then repeat for the other side. Next, you're going to go ahead and pop this piece up here. Again, simple pry tool. Just to clarify, it's going to be this rear piece, not this front piece right here. So just take a simple pry tool, pop it out. Now once you have this piece out, just to show you that's all that's there, it's just these clips on top, these little ones. There is this one in the corner right here. You might want to start this one all the way over here in the corner. You might want to start with that one and kind of move your way from the passenger side of the car over to the driver's side of the car. But also keep in mind, this thing, it also has these little kind of tabs in the front, and they hook in. So just unhook those and it'll come out. So next you have this piece that comes right out, the IP cluster cover. And this is all just clips that holds in. And just work your way around with a pry tool, plastic trim pry tool, just like anything else. And this will all just pop right out too. And just be careful as you take it out. You know, don't bend it, pull on it too much. But once you take a look at it, you'll see. Once you have it out, you'll see there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 clips that hold it in, and then you've got 3 of these little hooks that kind of go in the back. But it basically just pops right up and out. Be careful when you're prying it up. Don't bend it, mold, or anything. Just, you know, be ginger with it, but still give it a little bit of force. Okay, next to come up is this piece right here, and you're going to have 6 7mm bolts. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, if you can't get a good look at them from here, you can always take a look at them from the outside in the windshield, and you'll get an idea of exactly where they are. Okay, once you have those 6 bolts out, slide it forward and they'll come out. Be careful, you do have the sensor right here for the ambient light. So once you get that out, you are going to have an electrical connector right here that you have to disconnect. The other thing too is be careful when you're working up here. Make sure you use a shallow socket and not a deep socket. Otherwise, when you go to take it out, you're going to hit the windshield, and don't break the windshield or crack it or get it stuck or something like that. So use a shallow socket, and if you're unsure, use a hand ratchet also too. Okay, so next, to get this piece out, you've got a couple of bolts. You've got a 7mm right here. You've got another 7mm on the side over here. I'll show you. You've got 4 7mm up top up here. I'll show you. And then there's 3 10mm down here. I'll go ahead and show you. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of a better view, here's the 3 10mm underneath you're going to get. You got that silver one right there. You got that one right there next to that airbag connector. Be careful with that. It does do an airbag. And then you got another 10mm up there. Go ahead and get that one out. Then you got some 7mm on the side. You got one right there. Then you got another one right here. And then there's a few that I'm going to show you through the windshield. That is right, see on the dash right there, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry for the glare, you can kind of see it right there, okay? Once you have all those out, everything else is just clips and it'll come right out. Now, once you have all that loose and that thing just pops up like I just showed you, the only thing that's going to be still holding it in down here is this airbag connector. Now, I left this in down here to show you it's easier to disconnect it down here than it is to try to get it up top. Be super, super careful whenever you're working around airbags. Remember, work at this at your own risk. Just, you know, there's a little plastic clip back there that just holds it in, pop it out, it's a Christmas tree, and then just disconnect that electrical connector. Again, be super careful. Don't get any static electricity near an airbag. Just, if you don't know what you're doing, just don't do it. Just stay away from it if you don't know what you're doing. Okay, so the next two things to come out is going to be this little support bracket and then this trim piece over here for where the glove box goes. You got 6 bolts holding this in, all 7mm, and it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I believe there's 7 that hold this thing in. So this comes out first. These are all 7mm bolts. And you got your little electrical connector back here for the glove box. Okay, next we're going to move on over here to this side and get some of this stuff off. We're going to get this little side piece off first. There's a 7mm on the side right here. And then 2 more down below. Okay, there is this top cover. It's separate. There's 2 clips that hold it in right there. And then once you have that cover off, the rest of these will come out because it'll show another exposed bolt that's down here. Bezel is just a couple of clips. Get that out of the way. And get to that last 7mm bolt right here. That vent piece comes out. And then it just clips that hold in this cover down here too. Okay, so if you want to keep going, I'm not going to go too much further because you're kind of getting the point here. Next thing to do would be take out the radio control unit. There's a black piece right behind it, that little trim piece. Just take a little hook tool, grab behind it, squeeze in, turn it, and then you're going to want to pull up from this corner back here. There's a tab that slides in over here, so you can't pull from here, otherwise you'll break that tab. Just go and pull that up. Okay. And that'll pull up. It's just these 2 little tabs right here. Then behind here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 7mm bolts. And then you got 1, 2, and then a third one over here, so 7 total. Go ahead and take those out. and you got a couple of electrical connections back here. Next, to get the instrument panel cluster out, if you want to remove that and go even further, there's this top plate that you got to get off. There's 4 7mm bolts. And then there's 4 more bolts for the actual cluster itself. Electrical connectors back here. Red clip, slide it. Then this little arm comes forward, comes out just like that. And you have another connector back here that you just squeeze. And there you have it. There's the dash pretty much all apart. I'm not going to take it apart any further than that because it's kind of, you get the point at this point. You know, there's pretty much nothing that you can't see. If you want to get down there, you can see where all the actuator doors for all the air conditioning and HVAC controls are. The fuse box is down there, and even some plenum ducting work and things like that. All electrical connectors. You have your body control module, which is right there. Your instrument panel cluster is out. You can drop the steering column at that point. I'm obviously not going to because there's no point. I don't really feel like screwing around with that. So, but you can kind of get the point. The only other thing I'll mention too is, like, anytime you have any of that black speaker mesh grill material right there, be very careful with that. Don't pry on that because it is very malleable, and it will bend and take shape pretty easily too. So just be careful with that, with the way you do it. So with this all pretty much apart, I'm going to go ahead and put everything back together now, pretty much just in the reverse order, and I'm just going to show you how it's done, just to show it. I'll put it back together the same way it came apart. So, but yeah, it gives you a pretty good view of everything, where everything is, in case you need to do any dash work or something like that. Sometimes this will save you the trouble. So I know some people have had that 3LT dash problem that was so prevalent on the C7s, that sometimes on the C8. Well, this will also make it available to you if you want to, like, take the piece off yourself and then bring it to an interior shop and have them do that. So that way they're not going to charge you to, you know, take the whole thing apart and everything. You know, they'll just recharge you to do the dash work. Granted, if your car is out of warranty, so, but you get the point. So, but yeah, I'm going to just put everything back together now the same way that it came apart. Okay, the first thing to go back in is the instrument panel cluster, same way it came out. Little gray USB connector. Micro USB, it looks like. Plug that in. And then this connector lines up in the blue slot. Push it in. Pull the lever back till it seats. You hear a click. Red connector, and you're good to go. Line it all up. There's pins that it sits in. Cluster cover is next. Now the radio, and remember when you put this back in, you got 2 little clips right here. Just make sure they push back in and seat into place. You got the start button connector, a little black connector. Make sure you push in the locking retainer. And then the larger of the 2 black connectors, with the red locker as well. Got the 4 7mm up top here. Down here. One. Great. Then you got your plastic cover. Go in from this side first. Line it in that little space. And push the push clips down. Next is this little vent piece. This is just going to push back in. There is a little like hook piece right here that's going to slide in. When you get close to it, when you put it in, you'll see what I mean. And then there's just 2 little tabs that kind of line up, just down here and over here. Just push that in. 1mm screws. Okay. Now the IP cluster cover, you got these little tabs that go down onto the steering column and then the tabs on top. Slide that in the back first. Line up those tabs. They are small, they'll go in easily and they flex. Go ahead, put your cluster cover back in, making sure none of the leather protrudes up. Okay, next thing to go back in is this vent cover, the glove box with the button for that. So next thing we gotta do is plug that back in. Okay, only goes in one way. Line that back up. And all the 7mm bolts that go in for this. And then there's the one that goes in underneath right here. You're going to be tempted to put one in right here and one here. Don't put those in. Those are the T15s that go for the whole glove box later on. So leave those out for now. And once this is in, you're going to put your support bracket piece back into place. All your 7mm that go into there. Next is going to be your total dash cover with the airbag. Again, please be careful with the airbag. Make sure the connector doesn't touch anything as you're going in with it, because static electricity can set off an airbag. I like to reach it from the bottom, give it some support, and then lower it into place. You are going to have some clips. Just line those clips up, and you'll feel it snap in. Reconnect your airbag. Then you're going to have some of the bolts to put in over there. You're going to have one here, I believe 4 up top here, and then the 3 10mm bolts underneath. Okay, next is going to be this piece right here, your grill cover with the defrost vent in it. Don't forget to reconnect your ambient light sensor. So once you have that in, line that up, clicks into place, put it in. And then you have these tabs that are going to slide rearwards towards the back of the car. It's just going to go and sit right back down. There we go. And then there's going to be 6 7mm bolts to put in. And again, I recommend using a shallow socket so that way you don't hit the glass. Next up is this cluster cover. Slide it in the back, get those 3 tabs in so that way it kind of pops in like that. Push it down, and then the rest of those clips will just line up and just secure them into place. Next is this front piece right here. You'll see the little cutout right there for the actual speaker grill, so that goes towards your left. And these little tabs are going to go towards the windshield. So you're going to have to line them up, get them to sit in, and then push in the clips. Okay. Next we'll go ahead and put everything back in for the A-pillar. First is going to be this little bracket right down here. There is a little center pin that you're going to line up. And that's going to be these 7mm bolts that we took out before. The back part right here too is also going to kind of tuck in underneath this part. So once you do all that, you're going to have the back part that kind of slides in here, and then right about here in between where the 2 bolt holes go, there's a little plastic pin, and that plastic pin has a hole that it lines up into as well. Then tighten down your 7s. Okay, once you have this in, go ahead and put your speaker grill cover in first, because this little groove right here is what the A-pillar cover is going to sit into. There's a little like tab right here and right here that it kind of has to go and like hook into, and then you press down to seat it into place. Once you do that, then go ahead and put your A-pillar cover on. It slides into that little groove. Line up these 2 clips. Push it in. Make sure the weather stripping is on top of the cover. And then there's a T15 screw that goes in right here. Okay, next thing to go in is your glove box housing here. Okay, first thing you're going to want to do is plug in your electrical connector down here for your auxiliary power outlet. Now remember, I took that little red clip out before, so just reinstall that locking retainer. Then you've got your thin black one, which goes in right there. And then you've got your micro USB that goes in, that connects to your SD card. Then over here, you have that connector over here. There's that black connector that goes in right here. And this comes in all the way to the top. So bring the black connector up first. Tiny little, looks like a 2-pin. Yep. Plug that in. Double lock it. And then remember, you got to wrap these wires around the way that you had them wrapped in before. So whatever way you had them twisted in before, remember you have to retwist them that way, or else you're going to have chafed wires. So then you have the gray connector right here. That goes in there. And then you have that gray Christmas tree connector that goes in on the side right over here. Line this up. There's going to be these two clips that hold it into place. And this is where it's going to come in handy before, where I told you to only put that center screw in there, because this screw over here and this screw over here are going to be two T15s that are going to hold the glove box up. So you put those two in. And then you've also got 4 7mm that go underneath. And you've also got 2 7mm that go in the side over here. Then once you've got all that in, you actually reconnect your glove box. There's these little hinges that it hooks into right down here. And then once you bring it up, make sure you have the little piston down here, keep it free and clear, because you are going to reconnect that into the actual glove box itself, so that way it swings. So line up your 4. There it goes. Now remember, I don't have power connected yet, so I'm not going to be able to hit that button and unlock it. So I have to manually put it down. That rod is on there. So I'm good to go. Okay, so the next things I'm going to put back on is going to be these side covers right here. You got the 2 pieces over here. This one goes on first. Kind of hook it in a little bit, and then you're going to have to line up all these things. There's 1, 2, 3 clips, and then there's 3 little tabs right here. You got to line all 6 of them up in order for it to kind of go in. It can be a little bit of a pain, but just play around with it. You will get it. Okay, there's that. And then this piece just goes right over. Okay, then the next thing to go back in is the whole center console. Come in this way. And you just got to get everything to line up. Play on the other side. There are little guide pins that you will feel and see when you actually do it. And you'll get it to just slide right in, just like that. Okay, and once you have that in, just reconnect all your electrical connectors. You got your big one right here. Push that in, slide. And then once it's seated, grab the white and pull it back like a lever. Snap in, the red safety lock, make your black connection right here for your USB, and then just push back in your little gray Christmas tree, 2 Christmas trees on the big connector right here, the black one against there, and then the one that goes straight up right here. Okay, then you got your 5 10mm bolts on this side to put in. You got one up here, 2, 3, 4th one right there, and your 5th one goes straight down the back. Okay, and then over here, this piece goes back in. Okay. And there's one 10mm bolt that goes in right here. Then this piece goes back in. Just line up all your clips. And secure. Okay, now this side's done, move over to the other side. Okay, then you got these 4 bolts, one straight down in the back. 2 right here. 3, and the 4th one right here. And once you have that, this piece lines back up. Remember, hooking the hooks on the top first. Slide it in. And the clips will go in. And then there's another 10mm bolt that holds it in down here. And once that's in, go ahead and put this piece back in. It just clips in. Okay. Then this bottom piece goes back in. Reconnect your hub display if you have it. Your parking brake, and your dimmer switch. So that one little gray Christmas tree that goes in, a retainer. And line these clips up, snap them in. Okay, then you got 2 7mm screws, one here and one here. And you go ahead and put this piece in just like we did on the other side, and then this cover as well. Okay, then from here, the waterfall, reconnect your wireless charger if you have it. Push in the red locker, and then this speaker up top as well. The locker as well. Line it up. 4 clips just push right in. And then your other panel cover, the 2 clips on top. There's one little guide pin in the center. Push down, and you're all good to go. Then of course the last thing you're going to do is reconnect your battery. put this panel back in. And now that my battery is reconnected, I can go ahead and close the hood. Okay, so that about does it. Once you have everything reconnected, go ahead and start your car. Hopefully you don't have any codes. You've reconnected everything. If you do, I would say disconnect the battery, leave it off for 10 minutes or so, reconnect it and start it up. Or if you have a scan tool, clear it out. You shouldn't have any codes though, because everything just got reconnected properly anyways. So just give it a try, see what happens. Hope this clears some things up. And if you're looking to do any projects that requires you to do any of that I showed you, hope that you'll get some use out of it. So anyways, hope this helps. Good luck.